Welcome back to the channel for another lap guide, and just like that we have a new set of daily races. Following straight on from the great fun we had at Laguna Seca, this week we are off down under to Bathurst and a lap around Mount Panorama for daily race C. Join me as I take us through all the essential information you need to know, along with some tips to help you start as high up the grid as possible. If you are planning on competing this week, you do not want to miss this. Let's dive straight in. We'll start with the race information. Here we have 10 laps, 16 cars in the race with the rolling start, fuel consumption rate is set to ×2, tyre wear rate is set to ×3. The regulations are, we have one usable dry tyre and that is the Racing Soft. The intermediate and wet tyres are also available. Car category for this week is Group 3. Wide body, nitrous or overtake are prohibited. Under car restrictions, we have BOP is set to high speed, car settings, adjustable brake balance only. For race settings, DR and SR are affected. There is light mechanical damage, minimum number of pit stops is set to 1, and track limits are set to normal. And finally, penalty settings, shortcut penalty is set to weak, wall collision penalty is set to weak. I mean, that's just everybody's favourite penalty. Colliding with other cars is penalised, and cutting the pit lane line on entry or exit attracts a penalty. Today's lap we're going to be looking at is, at the time of this recording, the third top time on the global leaderboard of a 2:00.502, completed in the Porsche 911 GT3R 992 2022. Now, with all the formalities out of the way, let's get out on track. Okay, so we've got two brake markers for the first corner. We've got the end of the building on the left. Just as that approaches the edge of your screen, you're going to brake, or if there's a lamp post, once that leaves your screen on the left-hand side, you're going to brake. We're going to brake in a straight line, and we see this black square on the barrier on the left. That is our turn-in marker. We're going to shift down to second gear. We want to turn in quite early here so we can get as close to the left-hand curb as possible, because we want to be on the accelerator as soon as possible for the straight, heading out to the right hand side curb. So we're going to accelerate once the edge of the bridge on the right here reaches the end of your screen. And as we approach our second marker, we've got an escape road on the left-hand side here. Once you get to the end of the escape road, you're going to start to brake for the corner, then shift your attention to the right-hand side. We've got another escape road. Once you get to the end of that escape road, you're going to start to turn into the corner. Now, we want to try and carry as much speed through here as possible. So the big trees on the left-hand side, as soon as they've left your screen, you're going to accelerate. We're going to stay in third gear as we go around this corner. Use all of the track on the left-hand side as we power down to the next corner. And we're going to lift before we brake here. So the barrier on the right-hand side, where that changes from black to white, you're going to lift, keep the car to the left, and then there's two trees. The first tree is the lighter tree on the left there. You can brake once that reaches the edge of your screen, or if it's easier to see, the darker tree, just before the reaches the edge of your screen, you're going to brake. And as we slow the car down, you're going to look to the left-hand side where there's a gap in the barrier. This is our turn-in marker for this corner. We're going to shift down to second gear, and then we're going to look outside to the right where you can see 4 signs. Once you go from the second to the third sign on the right-hand side of your screen, this is where you're going to start to accelerate up the hill. Full power here all the way through this section. There's a tree on the left-hand side. We're going to keep the car to the right, but we're going to turn in once we go past this tree. We'll let the car drift across the left-hand side, and there's another tree on the left. I hope they never cut these down, as they are really good markers. But once you go past this tree, you're going to turn into the right-hand side, hog the walls as much as possible, allow the car to naturally drift across to the left-hand side to take the last corner in this little section. Now, track positioning here and through this next section is really important, not only just so we can maintain as much speed as possible, but also thanks to the lovely gift we've been given this week of wall collision penalties. So we'll hopefully get the car in the right position to help us keep as much speed up as possible, but also avoid those walls. So on the right hand side where the barrier goes from white to black, this is where we're going to turn in for the first corner here. We want to aim the car towards that tree in the distance just to allow us to run through the corner nice and smoothly. And we're going to take it as close to the outside wall as possible. So there's a little extension of track here, as you can see, so we can use that. And as we come round, there's a tree on the left. We're going to start to turn in once we go past this tree. And as we reach the end of the extension of track on the right hand side here, this is where we're going to lift. This helps us just turn into the left hand curb here on the inside, helping us carry as much speed as possible around the corner. Shifting up to 5th gear as we come round, we're going to be really brave with the wall on the right hand side. And as we approach this curb on the right, we're going to lift to turn into this blind left-hander. We want to make sure we get as close to the wall on the left hand side as possible, because that allows us to carry lots of speed through, use all the track on the right hand side. And then we're going to bring the car back to the left hand side of the track. We've got a brake marker, so the bridge up ahead, we're going to brake here just enough to control the car initially. We're not going to brake to stop. Then we want to make sure the car is coming back towards the right hand wall here. Now there's a post on the left hand side. Once that has gone past the edge of your screen, you're going to start to brake harder. We want to make sure we're aiming for where the curb comes out in the middle of the apex here. And as we come into this corner, our next turn-in marker is the end of the curb, where we're going to turn into the right-hander. But we're going to do something a little bit interesting before that. So as we go over this curb, we're going to release the brake momentarily, just to release the front wheels to allow them to turn. And then we're going to get back on the brake as soon as we're over the curb. We're going to shift down to 2nd gear, keep tight to the corner on the right-hand side. And there's a bush on the left. Once that bush has gone past the edge of your screen, you're going to accelerate slightly. And then the next turn-in marker is the end of this curb. So as soon as you reach that, you're going to turn back into the left. There is a little ditch with some grass in it, which is effectively what we're aiming for here. And then when you come through this section and the car's settled down and straightened up, once the edge of the sign on the right-hand side has reached the edge of your screen, you're going to start to accelerate through this relatively easy section compared to the rest of it, I guess. And there's a marshal's box on the left-hand side there. Keep the car across to the left-hand side of the track here. Then there's a tree on the right-hand side. Once that gets to the edge of your screen, you're going to start to turn in. And as you turn into this corner, we're going to apply a little bit of brake just to allow us to keep close to the right-hand wall here. And there's a big tree on the left. As soon as that gets to the edge of your screen, you're going to start to brake in a straight line. And then there's another big tree right after it on the left hand side again. That is your turn-in marker. So once you've gone past that, you're going to shift all the way down to 1st gear, turn into the corner, allow the car to rotate, and there's a big tree right in front of you there. As soon as that hits the center of your car, you're going to accelerate out in 1st gear, get as close to the wall on the exit on the right as you dare, and all the way down the long back straight. So we've only got a couple more corners to go here. On the right hand side, you've got the 150 board. And then just behind that, there's a logo on the barrier. Once you get halfway along that logo, that is your brake marker. So it's 125 meters before the corner. You're going to brake in a straight line. Then on the board on the right hand side, there's a white square. That is your turn-in point. And then a little bit further on in the distance, there is a post. Once that post reaches the right edge of your screen as you come around the corner, that's where you're going to start to accelerate. So we're going to shift down all the way to 2nd gear. We're going to turn into this corner, pick up the throttle gently on the way out, use all the track on the right hand side, shift up to 3rd gear, use all the track on the left hand side, and we run down to the last corner. Where our last braking marker is this tree on the right hand side. So once that reaches the edge of your screen, you're going to start to brake. And then we're going to look back to the right where we can see a yellow sign. Once that reaches the edge of your screen, you're going to start to turn into the corner. We're going to shift down to 2nd gear. And then our acceleration marker is the edge of the curb here. So we want to make sure we're accelerating as early as possible, take as much speed down the home straight as possible. Congratulate yourself that you've completed a lap of Mount Panorama, and that's a 2:05:02. Wow, I think I need to lay down after that one. Well, there we have it, a lap around Mount Panorama. Let me know in the comments if this has helped you out, and feel free to drop by during the week to let me know how you're getting on. Have fun and race well. It would be great if you could consider subscribing to the channel so you never miss another lap guide. And why not drop into one of our Gran Turismo live streams? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.